Hello beautiful creatures, welcome back to Of Crafts and Curios. Today is such an exciting video. I'm going to be showing you how I created my Goblincore doll for the Goblincore collab over on Instagram. If you would like to see all the other incredible dolls involved in this collab, head on over to my Instagram to check those all out. I am so excited to be showing you the journey of creating this doll. I was deeply inspired by the junk lady from the Labyrinth and Baba Yaga in creating my concept for this doll. What that means is that we will be creating a doll that is carrying a house on their back. This is quite an ambitious idea as I've never made a tiny house, but we're gonna give it a go by just winging it really, as always here on this channel, so I can't wait to get into it and show you guys the journey. The main structure of this house is comprised of these Woodcraft sticks that I found at Spotlight here in New Zealand. They are a little bit longer and quite a bit thinner than the regular popsicle stick that you might find, so they make great use for a double-story house. As with everything we do on this channel, it is really going about things with your feelers rather than having a plan. So I'm just making some walls out of my 450 glue and my wood glue and then shoving it all together and hoping for the best. I want the house to have a really rickety, old, mismatched kind of energy to it, as if the Goblin doll had created this house on their own with found materials that they kind of come across on their journey through the forest. So it is by no means going to be perfect or well shaped. So with that in mind, I'm making sure that things are a little uneven. I'm adding other textures like these bamboo skewers to just try and create this super haphazardly junky feel to this little house. And I'm also trying to be really cautious of how heavy the house is, so I will be leaving it hollow and I'm not gonna add any furniture or anything like that to the inside. Now for some roofing, it was getting quite heavy with the popsicle stick roof, so I'm using some corrugated cardboard from some packaging from a delivery to create a sort of corrugated iron feel. I think this turns out really well and I'm actually really happy with the effect of the little extra cardboard that was stuck on. It's kind of mossy or rusty. And yeah, so here is the base frame of my house. It's just a super simple two-story boxy thing right now, but I am going to add some shutters, some windows, a door, and hopefully bring it to life with some paint, some dry brushing, and some landscaping materials like moss and leaves and things like that. So I did forget to film myself gluing on and creating the shutters, but as you can see, I added a bunch of shutters and window frames to create some windows, and I will just be painting the inside of the windows black so they create sort of a shadow effect from a distance. But yeah, so cute so far. I can't wait to get into painting it. So here is the house's first base layer of paint and dry brushing. It is looking so cool. I am absolutely obsessed with it at this stage. I need to add some gold fixtures to my shutters, and then I'm going to add some moss and greenery and things like that. As always, I'll be using my Army Painter Batterfiled grass to create the mossy texture, along with some grass tufts from Mighty Ape if you're here in New Zealand. I also am using these cute little like pre-wired fall/autumn trees that I will be adding to create some foliage along the edging of the house. When applying fake moss to, for instance, a little house or a doll, I like to think about where moss and sludge and things like that actually collect in nature, and it's normally in the crevices and around the edges and in tight spaces. So that's what I thought about when applying my fake moss, and then I added my tree lines to the edges of the house where I imagine a garden would be if this house was planted on the ground. So here is my completed little tiny house. It's so cute and a lot heavier than I was hoping for, and it's about to get even heavier as I am about to start decorating the little house. Because I was inspired by the junk lady in the Labyrinth, I definitely want to add trinkets, junk, things like that the goblin might have collected on their travels through the forest. And I also found this adorable little sign that says there be fairies here, and I was thinking maybe this house is inhabited by fairies that have kind of like enlisted this goblin to help them travel through the forest or something like that. So here's all my trinkets dumped on, and I'm just going to start decorating bit by bit, as I can't do all of the decorations till after the doll has been fixed to the house and vice versa. As you can see here, I added a little swing maybe for the fairies, some keys, and some tools that perhaps the goblin would need out and about. And I couldn't help myself but make a little pentagram reef for protection on this little house for my goblin's journey through the forest. And with that, it's time to move on to the doll. So I needed a doll that was going to be able to be positioned correctly with the house on its back. So I'm taking an Ever After high doll because their neck peg allows for their neck to have enough angle where the doll will still be facing frontwards, not down. So I'm just starting by usual, taking off the factory paint with acetone based nail polish remover, trimming down the hair, popping their head off. As always, I'll be using the hot water technique to remove the doll head. Just be extra careful if you do this yourself, as the hot water can definitely burn your hands, as the doll head can fill up with that hot water. I also have some candles on in some of this footage because it was a really dark and rainy day when I was up to this part, so they might pop in and out of the footage. Now, something that I really wanted to include in my doll was pointy goblin ears. I think that is such a cute image, and it's not something I've done before in ear modification, so I am going to include that in this doll process, which means the factory ears need to get sliced off so I can create an armature out of wire for my new ears. Because pointy ears are a relatively simple shape, they're just a V shape, I will be using regular armature wire and just creating a really simple bended armature for my ears. I'm just going to do that and then press off the ends so they're a little more spiky, and move on to my 2-part epoxy milliput to flesh out the shape. With the ears completed but not yet completely dry, I am going to go ahead and add some little jewelry and piercings because I think that's just such a cute little element to these pointy large ears. These little piercings are just so fun. So before it's dried, I've just gone ahead and added those, and then I've painted in a similar flesh color over my epoxy. Moving on to the doll here, I definitely wanted to do a green, and I wanted to kind of do a cool tone green to assure that there was some color variation between the greens and browns used in my doll. So I'm using Dark Forest from CustomdollhairAU over on Etsy, a staple for my new rerooting journey that I'm on. I really love how this color turned out. It's such a cool tone green compared to the warm tones of the house that I think there's going to be a nice variation in the color palette for my doll so that it stands out from the house. Now I'm just sitting the hair before I begin my face up and reattach the body to the head. With her hair set but not yet styled and her head back on her body, I can begin her face up. So I need to mask off her hair, give her a shower in Mr. Super Clear, and I can begin my creature creation. I really wanted to do a really messy look for this doll. I want her to look dirty, like she's been living in the forest for a long time, and really channel that bog goblin energy. So I do end up creating a really messy look for this doll. As for her expression, I really want her to be looking down, like she's looking at the path that she's walking on while carrying this large house. So that informs my basic shapes when creating this face up. I also went ahead and left her eyebrowless, as I think this creates sort of a very fantasy goblin-y energy, and this is her finished face. I think she looks so kind of gross and goblin-y and dirty and just so cute at the same time. I know that if I saw her in my garden, I'd be stoked. So now moving on to her outfit, I'm returning to those brown colors that feature in the house along with those autumn tones that feature in the foliage, and I'm just cutting out my basic shapes and hand sewing them together as always. When it came to the skirt of her dress, I knew I needed a lot of volume because I was going to need to hide a stand and some fixtures under that skirt to assure that the balancing of the house was all okay. So the skirt has a lot of volume. It's one of those 3-tiered kind of hippie skirts that are quite on trend at the moment, I think. So this is the skirt. As you can see, there's a lot of volume for a tiny doll. So I'm just going to attach to it a cincher, like a corset or stay, so that it tucks back into the body nice and tightly. Here you can see on my mannequin doll, it looks super sweet and super cute, and I think it falls in line with the Goblincore aesthetic. And here I'm demonstrating the entire outfit with the blouse under that dress and corset. I think it looks so beautiful and definitely checks out for the Goblincore aesthetic. Then I'm just going to use some twine to add some extra detailing to the corset so that you can kind of tell what it is a bit better. I must say, this is definitely one of my favorite dresses that I've made for a doll. I think it is so cute and has a fairy tale element to it that I want to recreate for all my dolls. So I'm really happy with how this outfit turned out and how it ties in to this character's story. And I just briefly did some hairstyling, tying back the majority of the hair into a braid because it does need to fit under the house. I do wish I could have left it all out and flowy, but because the house does need to be attached at the shoulder, I do need to basically pull back most of the hair. Now, the only way I could think of attaching this house was through kind of scaffolding, and I like the way it looks a lot, but it is not the most stable or easily applied thing. So I went ahead and used some pre-landscaped wire and hid the rest under that massive skirt. Now to create my stand for the doll, I'm using an LOL Surprise base and some armature wire to create a saddle stand, which I will then fix with some milliput because obviously the doll is going to be very back heavy, so it is a bit of a problem solving experience to figure out how to make sure the weight of the stand can carry that extra load. I also went ahead and fixed the doll to the stand with some wire through her feet. I can easily undo this if I wish to remove the doll, but I just wanted to make sure for the purpose of this video and collab, the doll could at least stand up on her own. This meant I also needed to use some weights to add into the bottom of that base just to make sure that I could walk away from this doll and it would stay standing. So that's what I'm doing here, just adding some weights to the bottom of her stand. Because the doll was going to be in a fixed position, I wanted to also decorate her stand to give her sort of more of a sculpture element, and so I am just creating a garden path kind of experience on her stand using my regular battlegrass army painter supplies and some little rocks and things like that. It seems that I didn't film my process of attaching the house to the back of the doll. I did just glue it onto that scaffolding, and now I'm going to go ahead and create some trash, some little rucksacks and things like that that I can attach to this house to kind of bulk out the shape. So to create some little rucksacks, I'm taking some squishy, what's this called? Bubble wrap, and I'm just wrapping around some fabric scraps to create little rucksacks that I can attach like she's carrying things with her on her journey. Using these tiny bottles and keeping with the theme of found materials and exploration through the forest, I'm going to create some little trinkets hanging off the back of the house, things that she has found, perhaps she sells them. And then using some dried peppermint leaf of all things, I'm going to be adding some foliage as if some leaves have been dropping through her journey and collected on the house. And now just the final few steps of her look is to gloss her eyes and lips, and of course add some mossy foliage to her face itself, because I want her to be kind of one with the house, as if the house is part of her and she is part of the house in the landscape. So it was important to me to add some of that moss to her face as well. And I'd been thinking hard about how I was going to represent the fairies that seem to be here according to the sign that I placed on the house. And I'm using these moth and myth micro butterflies to kind of fill that role of the fairy. I think these are so beautiful and so cute. If you can get your hands on some of these, definitely do. They are so beautiful. And as a last minute split minute decision, I decided to add a little butterfly to her nose because as she is looking down and sort of cross-eyed, I thought this would add just an extra element of fun to her look. And with the final butterfly, I can't believe I get to say this, my Goblincore doll is complete. Filming her in all her entirety is almost impossible to fit in her frame because her house makes her so tall, so do bear with me with these glamour shots, but I just wanted to show you guys all of it together and then go into some detail with some extra detail shots of some of my favorite parts. But yeah, this is my entry into the Goblincore collab. And I'm so happy with her. She screams Baba Yaga magic and junk lady energy, and I couldn't be happier with the outcome. Now, as we sit back and enjoy some close-up shots and detail shots together, I just wanted to say a big thank you for sticking with me today and watching this video. I know it is a lot longer than we are both used to here on this channel, but I just wanted to make sure that I included all the fun details and experimentation that went into this project. As always, if you did like this video, do hit that thumbs up. Jump down in the comments below and let me know how you're doing. I love hearing from you guys so much. And if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. I'm hoping it's going to be a super fun October with lots of silly fun videos and dolls to share with you guys. If you're not already, you can jump over onto my Instagram and see what I'm working on in real time, as I'm often sharing works in progress over there. And as always, I can't wait to see you guys so soon with more crafts and more curios.